Hi, today I want to take you on a journey, my journey of discovery basically, and also the aha moment when I actually started developing this app, which turned out to be the first in the world, called OHS Safe Notes. And my journey goes way back with entrepreneurship. I was a young boy, primary school boy, and spending holidays on my uncle's farm. He was an amazing entrepreneur, and just learning from him, even as a primary school boy, reading the Sunday Times, the Business Times section of the Sunday Times, and always knowing that I was going to be a businessman. One day I was going to have my own business and I was going to employ people and I was going to make lots of money. So fast forward, I joined the fire department, become very successful there, win awards, rescue thousands of people, progress from there into risk management, working for then the second largest brewery in the world. They now amalgamated with the largest brewery in the world, so they're the biggest by volume now, called SA Breweries at that time. Risk manager there for the border Kai region, and did very, very well there as well, winning awards like crazy. It's just crazy. Very, very successful. And I'm not saying that to brag or boast. I'm taking you on a journey. But having completed my MBA while at SAB, I knew that, one day I needed to pursue my dream. But this was basically training for me, the years from the fire department through SAB. And so in 2007, I basically stepped out and went into business full time. So since then, I've been paying my own salary. And so it's 19 years now. And last year, I was sitting at my laptop. I just finished reading a book called Acres of Diamonds, written at the turn of the century in the 1900s by someone called Russell Herman Conwell. And so I heard about Russell Conwell and this book from Bob Proctor. I absolutely love the late Bob Proctor. It taught me so much. And so I bought the book and read it, and I was absolutely gripped by the story of Acres of Diamonds. And it got me thinking, sometimes in life you just need that one little spark that is going to set off something that is going to lead to something great. And that book was it, one of the many, but this one really did it for me with OHS Safe Notes. So the story goes, the backstory of Acres of Diamonds goes that there was this farmer. He had a farm here in Africa, and he heard about this diamond rush that was taking place on the continent of Africa. And this guy couldn't wait to sell his farm so that he can go out into the dark African continent, to go and prospect for diamonds and become super wealthy. So he gets a buyer for the farm and he's off going to prospect for diamonds. And long story short, he doesn't get any diamonds. He doesn't find one diamond. He becomes so disgusted and he loses hope. He throws himself into a river and the man drowns. Sad, tragic ending to a dream. But here's the real story. The guy that bought his farm was walking his horse one day on the farm. And he's leading the horse by the bridle, and the horse stops at a stream to drink water. Listen to this. He stops at a stream to drink water, and this man sees something sparkling in the water. In this little river that's like a brook, a stream that runs through his farm. The farm that he bought from this other guy that committed suicide. He picks up this rock, this shining rock. He picks it up. It's a big thing, big, weighty thing. And he takes it to his house. He thinks, this is such a beautiful crystal. He takes it to his home and he puts it on the fireplace mantle in the lounge. His friend comes by a few days later and sees this big thing on the mantle. And he says to him, "Where do you get this thing from? Do you know what this is?" He says, "It's a crystal, man. I've got lots of these. There are lots of these shining stones in the river. here on the farm. So it turns out that that rock was the biggest diamond that was found on the African continent. In fact, I think it was the world, if I remember correctly, at that time. The biggest diamond. So the guy that committed suicide, he owned acres of diamonds. He was standing on top of wealth and he didn't know it. And this man became super, super, super wealthy. Very, very wealthy. So that first guy, he just didn't take the time to understand, firstly, what does a diamond look like? What does a diamond look like when it's polished? What does a diamond look like in its raw state? Because he would have most probably thought to himself, man, I've actually got these things in the river bed, and these are shiny little things. Let me go and have them tested or cleaned. You understand? So this is what got me to my aha moment. I was sitting here at my laptop one weekend. It was last year, 2025. And, I was sitting and chatting to my AI agent. Now, I'm very, very involved in AI. I've got an AI business as well called IntelliBot AI Agency. So I was chatting to my AI agent and I was referencing the book Acres of Diamonds. And I said, what are the acres of diamonds in the OHS field? So this thing gives me 30, the agent gives me 30 ideas, right? Give me 30 ideas. I look through them and I say, give me 30 more. I look through them, give me 30 more. So I looked at 90 ideas that my AI agent gave to me. And there was one that actually stood out and it made me think. Made me think back to my days at SAB when I was a risk manager. Because sometimes, let me say almost every time, you'd have an OHS meeting or a safety meeting. Somebody takes the minutes, right? They write the minutes out. So then you've got to wait for that person to go to their office and type out those minutes. And then, sometimes there are very urgent action items that need to be closed, etc., etc. And it could be a week to 2 weeks before everybody gets a copy of the minutes. And then you can start closing your gaps. And by the time the next the meeting rolls around, there are still gaps that are outstanding or open from the previous meeting because the meeting minutes were distributed late. And I thought to myself, now that is a real world problem that people in the OHS field actually experiences, because I experienced it at SAB. I experienced it firsthand. And I thought that could be something that I could actually look into to build, right? Because here's the thing. You're sitting in an OHS meeting, a safety meeting, somebody takes the minutes, and then sometimes you've got to decipher somebody's handwriting. The key nuances of the meeting gets lost because somebody interpreted something incorrectly that was written by hand. Now they're typing it out. It gets transferred or interpreted incorrectly. And then you get someone saying, no, but I didn't mean it like that there. I didn't say that. I never agreed on that thing. Can I have a witness? I'm sure it's happened to you many, many times. And so this is why I thought that this meeting, recording and transcribing app will actually make such a big difference to the OHS community. And then I took it upon myself to actually build an app that people could use. In my next video, I'm going to take the story a bit further because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm going to take the story a bit further and really give you some insights into how my thinking started working, how I actually planned the app so that you can understand the founder's story of OHS Safe Notes. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time.